Not every wrestler hits it big with their first gimmick. Some start off flat, get lost in the shuffle, or even risk getting released, until one bold reinvention changes everything. From goofy to dangerous, forgotten to main event, these are the WWE gimmick changes that saved careers and turned struggling superstars into legends. 11. Dominic Mysterio. Let's be honest, Dominic Mysterio's early WWE run was rough. As Rey Mysterio's son, he debuted in high-profile storylines and even teamed with his father to win tag team gold. But despite the push, fans weren't buying it. He was too clean, too rehearsed, and frankly, too bland. Then came the betrayal. In 2022, Dominic turned on Rey and aligned himself with the Judgment Day. Out went the babyface handshakes. In came the prison dom persona, a hilarious, unhinged parody of a hardened criminal who claimed to be changed by time behind bars, which was really just a brief kayfabe jail stint. Dominic leaned into the cringe, wore it with pride, and the crowd loved to hate him. He developed swagger, confidence, a clear identity. Dominic went from being seen as a nepotism hire to one of the most booed heels on the roster, a heat magnet who finally made fans feel something. His gimmick switch didn't just save his career, it made it. 10. Mark Henry. For years, Mark Henry was the smiling powerhouse WWE didn't know how to use. Debuting in 1996 as the world's strongest man, Henry had Olympic credentials and unmatched raw strength. But WWE saddled him with oddball gimmicks that never stuck. He played a patriotic babyface, joined the Nation of Domination, and infamously became Sexual Chocolate, where he was more punchline than powerhouse. He once fathered a hand with Mae Young, a skit that summed up how far he'd drifted from wrestling credibility. Despite his physical gifts, Henry was never booked as a serious contender. He danced, he flirted, he lost. Fans liked him, but nobody viewed him as a legitimate threat. For over a decade, he was a mid-card mainstay, reliable but unremarkable. Then came 2011. Henry snapped. He turned heel, ditched the jokes, and created the Hall of Pain, a savage, no-nonsense persona who crushed everyone in his path. He tore through Big Show, ended careers, and convincingly beat Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight title. And just when you thought he was slowing down, he faked a heartfelt retirement in 2013, then flattened John Cena mid-hug. That moment didn't just redefine Mark Henry, it immortalized him. 9. Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was handpicked to be WWE's next golden boy, but the audience rejected him hard. Despite his clear in-ring ability and look, fans saw him as a corporate creation, a John Cena reboot without the charm. For years, he was booed out of buildings. But everything changed when he returned in 2020 with a new attitude, aligned with Paul Heyman, and began calling himself the Tribal Chief. Gone was the pandering babyface. In his place stood a calculating, ruthless leader who demanded respect and controlled his family with fear and dominance. The Bloodline storyline became one of WWE's most layered and successful arcs in years, turning Roman from a liability into the centerpiece of the company. He held the title for over 1,000 days and delivered career-defining promos and matches. The shift didn't just save his career, it fulfilled his potential. Roman Reigns didn't become the face of WWE because the company wanted it. He did it because he finally earned it on his terms. 8. John Cena. John Cena's early WWE days were forgettable. With his generic look, white trunks, clean-cut haircut, and bland babyface energy, he was on the verge of getting released. He lacked a connection with the crowd, and his character was going nowhere fast. But everything changed on a random bus ride when Cena started freestyling for fun. The impromptu performance caught the attention of WWE higher-ups, and just like that, a new persona was born. Enter the Doctor of Thugonomics, a cocky, chain-wearing, freestyle-spitting rapper who talked trash and backed it up. Cena's rhymes were sharp, hilarious, and edgy, and fans immediately took notice. For the first time, he had personality, swagger, and something that stood out in a crowded roster. It wasn't just a gimmick, it was a lifeline. This transformation didn't just save his job, it launched his career. Though Cena would eventually trade in the chains for jorts and become the PG-era poster boy, it was that rapper gimmick that made him a star. 7. Triple H. When Triple H arrived in WWE, He was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, a pompous aristocratic snob with curled hair, bad tights, and a worse accent. He was decent in the ring, but his character felt like a cartoon villain who got lost on his way to the opera. Then he broke character, and everything changed. Aligning with Shawn Michaels to form D-Generation X in 1997 gave Triple H the edge he was missing. He ditched the monocle vibes, let loose, and became a founding member of one of the most rebellious factions in wrestling history. But that was just step one. After injuries, controversies, and real-life political heat, Triple H re-emerged as The Game, a ruthless, iron-willed manipulator in leather and shades. His promos got sharper, his physique got bigger, and his in-ring storytelling evolved into main event level psychology. By the early 2000s, he wasn't just part of the show, he was the show. Had he stayed the Connecticut Blue Blood, Triple H might have been released or relegated to filler matches. But embracing the cerebral assassin identity forged a Hall of Fame career and helped him become the future of the business behind the scenes. 6. Bray Wyatt. Once upon a time, Bray Wyatt was just Husky Harris, a forgettable generic big man in NXT with a bad name and no identity. He was directionless, expendable, and in danger of becoming a trivia question. Then, he disappeared, and when he came back, nobody forgot him again. Re-emerging as Bray Wyatt, he adopted the persona of a swamp prophet, a cult leader channeling Cape Fear and deliverance in equal measure. With eerie promos, a chilling presence, and the chilling chorus of "He's got the whole world in his hands," Bray caught fire. Fans didn't just listen, they hung onto every word. But his real rebirth came as The Fiend. This horror-inspired alter ego took his mythology to new depths. Masked, violent, and otherworldly, The Fiend became a character unlike anything else in wrestling. It was part monster movie, part psychological thriller. Bray's entrance, lighting, and dual personality storytelling changed the game, even if booking inconsistent. Sometimes, the right gimmick isn't a costume. It's a complete metamorphosis. 5. Kane. First, in 1995, he debuted as Isaac Yankem, DDS, an evil dentist hired by Jerry Lawler to punish Bret Hart. Decked out in gloves and scrubs with dental drills in tow, the gimmick was bizarre, tone-deaf, and immediately rejected by fans. It was supposed to be intimidating, but came off as pure comedy. That flop nearly derailed Jacobs' WWE career right out of the gate. Then came Fake Diesel in 1996, after Kevin Nash left for WCW. WWE attempted to keep the Diesel character alive by recasting it with Glenn Jacobs. The experiment failed. Fans weren't buying it, and Jacobs looked like a placeholder in someone else's gimmick. At this point, his WWE future looked bleak. But in 1997, everything changed. Jacobs was repackaged as Kane, the monstrous masked brother of The Undertaker. He debuted in a blaze of fire, tore the door off Hell in a Cell, and instantly became a horror icon. With his new look, mystique, and terrifying presence, Kane wasn't just another character, he was a force. Without Kane, Glenn Jacobs was forgotten. With Kane, he became a WWE legend, Quarto Batista. When Batista first arrived on the main roster in 2002, he wasn't tearing down main events, he was carrying a collection plate, literally. As Deacon Batista, he debuted as Devon Dudley's muscle in a short-lived religious gimmick on SmackDown. The look was awkward, the role was forgettable, and his potential was being wasted in a dead-end angle that went nowhere. But then came Evolution. Triple H, Ric Flair, and Randy Orton welcomed Batista into their elite stable on Raw, repackaging him as the Enforcer, the quiet destroyer in a suit flanked by legends. This was his real rebirth. He wasn't talking much, but his presence was undeniable. The suits, the slow burn dominance, and the calculated build all worked in his favor. Under Evolution's wing, Batista evolved into a legit powerhouse. Fans began to notice. And when he eventually turned on Triple H in 2005, it wasn't the beginning. It was the payoff to a transformation that had already saved his career. Without ditching the Deacon gimmick and stepping into Evolution, Batista might have disappeared. But becoming the Enforcer set him on the path to becoming a world champion and a global star. 3. The Rock. Rocky Maivia had the pedigree, the third-generation bloodline, the heritage, the perfect smile. WWE pushed him hard, but the fans weren't buying it. They booed him relentlessly. "Die, Rocky, die" chants echoed through arenas. It was a disaster. Instead of fighting it, he leaned into it. Turning heel, Rocky became The Rock, an arrogant, electrifying, trash-talking megastar who owned the mic like no one else. He mocked fans, he trashed opponents, he spoke in the third person, and people loved it. The People's Champ was born not because WWE wanted him to be, but because he took the reins of his character and made it unforgettable. Catchphrases, charisma, eyebrow raises, The Rock became the blueprint for crossover superstardom. Without that shift, Dwayne Johnson would have gone down as a failed babyface experiment. With it, he became the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. And eventually, the biggest movie star on the planet. 2. The Undertaker. Before WWE, Mark Calloway was just another journeyman in WCW. He had the height, the agility, and the potential, but he lacked presence, no real identity, no heat. WCW didn't see a future for him, famously telling him he'd never draw a dime. WWE disagreed and handed him a character that should have killed a career, an undead mortician named The Undertaker. But instead of flopping, it became history. At Survivor Series 1990, The Undertaker made his chilling debut. The lights dimmed, the funeral march played, and out walked a towering figure with lifeless eyes and eerie poise. Fans didn't laugh. They watched in awe. This wasn't just a gimmick, it was a force. Over the next 30 years, The Undertaker became WWE's most iconic creation. He evolved with the times, transforming into the biker-inspired American badass before returning to his roots as the chilling dead man. Through every reinvention, he kept his mystique. He made caskets scary, urns powerful, and WrestleMania sacred. From jobber to legend, The Undertaker wasn't just a character shift, he was a complete resurrection. Without that change, Calloway fades into obscurity. With it, he became the soul of WWE. 1. John Bradshaw Layfield. Bradshaw had always been a reliable hand, a burly, tough-as-nails Texan known for his role in the APA alongside Farouk. Together, they were brawlers for hire who drank beer, played cards, and punched people in the mouth. The act was fun, beloved even, but Bradshaw was never seen as world championship material. For years, he hovered in the tag team and mid-card scene, earning respect, but never sniffing the main event. Then, everything changed in 2004. Bradshaw re-emerged as JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, a wealthy, arrogant, self-made millionaire who traded bar fights for boardrooms. He ditched the cowboy hat for a suit and tie, rode to the ring in a limo, and bragged about stock markets, business mergers, and personal wealth. The transformation was so jarring, fans couldn't help but boo. And that was the point. JBL became one of the most hated heels in WWE. His reign as WWE champion lasted nearly a year, anchoring SmackDown during a transitional era. He feuded with top stars like Eddie Guerrero, The Undertaker, and John Cena, and held his own. He wasn't the most athletic, but he worked smart, and his promos were elite. Bradshaw the tag guy was forgettable. JBL the tycoon became unforgettable. Gimmicks in wrestling aren't just costumes or catchphrases, they're lifelines. The 13 superstars on this list didn't just change characters, they rewrote their legacies. Sometimes all it takes is a new attitude, a fresh look, and the courage to become something completely different. Because in WWE, survival isn't about staying the same. It's about daring to evolve and owning it when the spotlight finally hits.